Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
You know who looked pretty good last night, who's actually looked pretty good for several games now? Justin Verlander.
And on that note, that'll wrap up the Star Fantasy League Show today because we can't get any better than that.
Because that's all we need to say.
That's horrifying. I have nothing for you, Teddy Bear 2. Nick Steblenko's here.
You can't say that.
What?
Don't be negative like that.
What?
I'll take it to the top. I'll go right to the top, and you will be fired.
I'm the top.
Or suspended.
I'm the top.
Okay, yeah. Suspend him. 3 weeks.
I
He said that was horrifying. I don't like his tone.
I don't know where he was going with that.
There was a negative connotation to it.
There was.
For some reason, I thought he was going Danger Zone with that, like a Top Gun reference, but I
You
wasn't
said it,
sure.
and then you said that you didn't care.
You may not speak ill of Justin Verlander. He is tied very tightly to this staff.
Don't mention Justin Verlander and staff because that's going to get you suspended.
What?
Because he's got staff.
Because you got staph infection?
No. It's because you didn't. Okay. Do you really not know what happened?
What are you talking about?
Okay, he does know what happened. I'm not going to mention the nude picture scandal. He's actually pitched pretty well.
Staff? How did that? What are you talking about?
Are you serious?
Staff and pictures?
Okay. We're not going to bring this up anymore because Nick apparently doesn't understand the correlation between the two things that I'm not going to mention because it's not
Suspended
terrible.
for 4 weeks now.
Suspended.
Great. I just continue to get suspended.
You know, this week has actually gone quite easily for me getting to football because I've been so concerned about the Tigers.
That is true. I thought you were going to say you're so concerned about the ridiculous Roger Goodell stories. No?
Well, it's hard to be concerned about that stuff anymore.
That is true, but yet again, we're going to talk about one Roger Goodell in sort of a roundabout way because the biggest story of the day has nothing to do with sports. It's all about the four-letter being absolute ridiculous hypocrites. Absolute ridiculous hypocrites. Am I suspended?
Well, yeah.
You should be.
I said something ill of a company.
I watch ESPN, and I don't like the way that you're talking about them.
Okay, so how long am I going to be suspended from this show because of that?
Well, maybe 5 weeks now. So I mean, you've gone from 3 to 4 to 5, John. I don't know how you want to do this here.
Oh, I
don't know how bad you're getting here. This is pretty brutal.
Yeah, I don't really know how this is going to work. Do I still get paid though? That's a big question.
Yeah, we'll suspend you with pay.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
That's the least we can do.
Yeah, that's all. Well, it's just a paid vacation then, right?
And it's literally the least we can do. We're not going to do any more.
So basically, the whole idea is to suspend you while everything kind of blows over, and then we'll go back to business as usual.
Okay, so it's funny that you say those exact comments because I'm pretty sure the exact opposite is going to happen in the Bill Simmons suspension because usually when you suspend somebody, it's because they're, like you said, they're trying to make things blow over. Here, he didn't say anything.
What a bunch of freaking losers they are over there.
Hold on. Are we talking about the NFL or are we talking about ESPN?
Isn't that the point of being in the media, though? Isn't that the point? Is that your job is to scrutinize everybody in your profession. You're supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to give your opinion, and you're supposed to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, hold on.
And all Bill Simmons did was voice an opinion that pretty much everybody in America shares at this point. I mean, that Roger Goodell is crap.
Yeah,
suspend me.
The issue ESPN had and that he listed on their website was journalistic credibility or something like. What? So you're not allowed to be critical at all of anything, or else you get suspended? Are you kidding me?
Because there's money in there. Because they have a relationship with the NFL. I get that, but you're also supposed to be a news media outlet. You're supposed to criticize.
Yeah, they're supposed to be able to speak how they want as journalists. That's what's unless they're exhibiting racism or bigotry or
then you get less of a
sexism,
suspension.
Whatever. Yeah, then you get less of a suspension like Stephen A. Smith got.
Yeah, I can't.
I can guarantee you that what happened in this instance wasn't what Bill Simmons had to say about Roger Goodell. It was him daring them to suspend him.
Well, yeah.
The fact that he was talking to ESPN in a negative way that puts negative light on the company because he's gotten suspended previously. There's people that have been suspended for different reasons.
That would make more sense.
I bet you that's what it is. And
that would make more sense, but even still, swallow your pride. Like, just, there's no reason for it. The guy raises a very important point. There's no credibility in the NFL right now. There's none. At the top, your leader is literally lying to everybody that works for the NFL.
I suppose I hadn't really thought about it this way until just now, that he basically berated his employer.
Okay.
So,
but all he did was basically say, yeah, I mean, you do make a good point, but come on. Like, there's really no reason to do that.
I think he was sniffing out the backlash from the company before it even, like, he was, okay, he's normally not a vulgar guy. I listened to his shows pretty much since the beginning. He's normally not a vulgar guy at all, but the way he said effing BS about just repeatedly, like, just back to back to back, I don't think I've ever heard him that fired up. He's clearly passionate about how scummy this human being is that's running a multi-billion dollar company.
Well, we support Bill Simmons here in this office. We love him.
Of course we do.
He's
I'm pretty sure
This is a guy that is willing to go onto ABC completely pink. Pink as a flamingo.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know where you're
Yeah.
going. What the heck are you talking about?
Have you ever seen his quote-unquote tan?
No.
He literally just looks straight up pink.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going with
a nice
that.
spray on.
Although, to be
Nice
fair,
even layers.
he is the least analyst ever because he just gives us he's like, yeah, I don't like that. You're like, oh, normally it's like, well, here's this and this. You know, he's like us talking sports. Except on ABC Sports.
He really just wants to talk to Jalen Rose. That's about it.
And they're buddies, and that's the best part.
Yeah, no, but I like that. I enjoy that. I actually liken that to Don Cherry in hockey. Don Cherry,
It's more fun than being so formulaic.
There's a reason he's called the sports guy. He's considered a people's sports writer. He doesn't write from, oh, I'm above you because I know every single statistical thing and all this insight, and I'm friends with the player.
Maybe we should reach out to Bill and see if he needs a job. Maybe we can hire him on over here.
Yeah, why not?
I tried to reach out to a buddy of the show, Sean Grandy, to see if he'd come on and talk about it, but they're not. Nobody's going to comment.
No comments. All right.
Nope. There's not going to be any comments about this show.
All right. Well,
we got to think that this is the biggest one that ESPN has had, maybe ever, where everybody's going to be walking on eggshells now with what they say.
Bill Simmons is kind of they built another site for him. Like there was a whole thing where he was probably going to walk.
The thing is that they know that they can't ever fire him, and he knows that too.
He'll walk. He'll just go somewhere else and be as big.
Do you really think that's true?
Yeah, he has a.
I mean, how many people want to work for ESPN?
It's very unlikely because he is a product at this point.
Yeah.
He's not like the anchors. He's like.
I mean, we've seen that in the past. We've seen it in the past where stars have been suspended rather than fired. I mean.
But he also is Grantland. He also has his own section of ESPN.
Although, ESPN owns that, by the way. If he gets fired, that is not going with him.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you don't think there's somebody right below him that would be like, hey, now it's my time.
He could get fired, but it's very unlikely, but given the money that he brings in, that he will be.
Yeah.
And so he knows that he can toe the line a little bit. Even if he's going to get suspended, he knows he can kind of inch towards it.
Are we ready to move on? Because I really don't want to get suspended. I like my job.
Boo, 4-letter.
Yeah, we've already mentioned ESPN 27 times, so you don't need to say 4-letter again. All right, let's move on to a game that is not going to be on the 4-letter. I think it's on CBS, NFL, ABC. I don't know what they call it now. CBS/NFL Network. Is that what they're calling this game?
Whatever.
Exactly.
All right.
It's football.
I'm actually pretty excited. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup tonight. We have the Eli Bowl against Mr. Washington, Kirk Cousins. He's the future.
You're dubbing him Mr. Washington now.
Yeah, he's the savior of the Washington
Redskins. Mr. Washington?
I'm not going to call him Mr. Redskin. That's just can't do that. Suspension again.
So what if he puts up a goose egg tonight? Is he no longer Mr. DC?
I called him Mr. Washington first off. The actual West Coast Washington, not DC. Sorry.
Well, I'm excited for this game because this is not only a divisional matchup like all these Thursday games are, but now we get to continue to see how Kirk Cousins develops.
Yeah, this is a really good one. It's got a bunch of storylines. We got two and one teams here. I mean, two teams rather that you can almost say need to win this game. Given what's going on in the division with the Eagles being 3-0, this is a huge game. And anybody that loses this, it's going to be a massive setback that they probably won't be able to recover from.
They really have to try to separate from one another. So whoever wins this game obviously gets the upper hand here. So being 1-3 is not a place that you want to be. You're really not There are few teams in the NFL that can actually come back from that and make the playoffs. So if either of these teams even want a shot at the playoffs, they definitely need to win this one.
Washington is definitely playing better than their record states. I can't believe they are in the top 10 in every offensive and defensive major category. Second overall offense, third pass, ninth rush, fourth overall defense, 10th pass, third rush. Like that, they're a pretty good team overall right now.
I'm curious about that because the Eagles put up a ton of points on them last week.
Points, yes. No, points aren't the end-all, be-all overall team defense.
Okay,
that's what it goes by.
Okay, well then I guess I got to throw the statistics out the window on that one because unfortunately they're still 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So if you can't keep a guy out of the end zone, you're not going to win football.
But to be fair, they've played 3 games, and one of them was against one of the highest-powered offenses, and they're still overall a top 5 defense on paper.
That's important for them though because they need to come out and they need to treat Eli Manning and the Giants the way that they've been treated in their 2 losses. They need to create turnovers. They need to make them look like their offensive line is completely inept. If they could do that, they have this game in the bag.
This is one of the more exciting games I think we'll see all season for Thursday night.
Well, it's gonna be trouble for Washington. It's a short week, and they're also in trouble. Arakpo is injured. He'll definitely play though. I think he has like a finger injury. Hall is out for the season. Iheanacho's out for the season. This defense, their secondary, is looking a little bit banged up right now, and on a short week, that's basically suicide for that team.
Yeah, and the fact that the Giants were able to get that win last week in pretty convincing fashion, it definitely bodes well for everything that's surrounding this game because if they had been what they had been so far or early in the season, last game, this game would be over. We'd think it was over.
Yeah, I think.
But now it actually seems like this could be really close and it could go either way.
Yeah, I think Washington would have the upper hand in a shootout just because I think they've already shown they can put up a ton of points.
They have way more weapons too.
Absolutely,
way more.
So I think if they get into that type of situation, then they're good to go. I wouldn't give them the upper hand if it was just a knockdown, drag out, heavyweight fight. So we'll see how it develops early on in the game.
So here's the question: it's an NFC East matchup. We assume it's going to be that kind of dogfight, right? Not like although in recent memory,
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw what we saw last week with Washington and Philly.
But yeah,
because we did see that Eli Manning can actually still throw the ball somehow.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm a little concerned about is that for the Giants is that Rashad Jennings has pretty much been the guy that has kept them in some of these games.
Oh, yeah.
And we all saw what LaShawn McCoy did versus Washington last week. Nothing.
Yeah, I told you, their run defense, they're third against the run right now, and that's they played against one of the best and held him to, 30 yards, 22 yards?
Which is very surprising considering he torched them last year.
This is true. Maybe Washington has finally figured out under a new head coach, not named Mike Shanahan.
Yeah, well, maybe they should stick that quarterback in there. Keep him there.
You know I'm a Gruden fan.
Yeah.
Any Gruden.
Any Gruden will do. All right, coming after the break, it is time for John Holt's Mailbag, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
We are back, and you can still tweet us at SFL Show if you want to include some questions for Donald's mailbag, the best part, and my favorite part of the show. Go ahead and make fun of me again for saying everything's my favorite part of the show, apparently.
Well, you like the show. You show passion. That's good. I like that.
So I'm not going to get suspended for saying I love this show.
No, you have to stay positive, and everything will go well.
Yeah, but we both know that's not going to happen for very long.
Well, now you're getting into bad territory. Zach,
don't say anything about me, this office, or any of the desks, equipment, rugs.
Or this hockey puck that I have right here.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
You keep bragging about that RAT hockey puck over there.
That's it. I don't want to hear that anymore.
All right, I'm going to go mute for the rest of this show because you guys just don't want to hear my crap, do you? No?
He said crap. That's 2 weeks, at least.
I've already been suspended for 5 weeks. Clearly, Free Simmons is not supported in this office if you guys just suspend me for whatever I say. No?
You're suspended.
Great, thanks. If I'm suspended, what are we doing to Footer? That's full fire,
what?
Right? He talks.
Footer's been good.
He's fine.
Oh,
he's
great.
positive.
Any negative
all right, fine. We're done talking about this whole debacle with the 4-letter because they're just handling everything so poorly, and we handle everything with grace. No, we don't. No, we don't do that.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, that does sound crazy. All right, let's get into the mailbag for today. Carson L. writes, the NL MVP race is going to come down to 3 players with completely different claims to the title. Who do you think wins, and which is the best way to determine an MVP?
So who do we think wins?
Okay.
Clayton Kershaw. There's no question.
That's what I'm saying. No. It's not that there's no question. There is a question. It's not everybody goes, yeah, 100%, yep.
No, I don't think there is a question because I don't think anybody else has been prominently featured throughout the entire season like Clayton Kershaw has. I really think his face has been at the forefront of the entire game all season long.
Didn't he miss the first month of the season too?
Yeah. But I just don't think there's any way that he doesn't win the MVP. I think that Andrew McCutchen should be in the discussion, and I think honestly, he would get my vote just because he is in the game every single day. And the Pirates really heading into or just past the halfway point of the season, they were really on the cusp. Them clinching the playoffs has a lot to do with what he had brought to the table. I really think
I agree. It should be McCutchen, but I am leaning that it's going to be Clayton Kershaw. If you look at some of the things that have gone on in McCutchen's game, he was injured for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's only played 140.
And then you had Stanton, who kind of went down a little bit.
What do you mean down a little bit? First in home runs, second in RBIs.
No, I just mean he hasn't been. First of all, when you don't have somebody that is actually in the hunt in any way whatsoever,
exactly.
You kind of fly under the radar a little bit in terms of what your production is because it doesn't look as valuable. In actuality, it's not because the most valuable player has to be the guy that does the most for his team. That just usually ends up being one of the guys that got to the playoffs.
Well, here's the thing. Well, if the Miami Marlins are really that bad, wouldn't it actually lower his overall numbers? Like, runs batted him would probably be lower because he doesn't have guys on in front of him, which has actually probably been the case most of the season. That team is just not good.
No, absolutely. But, the fact is that the most valuable player usually plays on one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said there's 3 different schools of thought here in determining MVP. Do you go for the guy with the best stats? Or do you go for the guy that actually contributed the most? Or do you go for the guy that's overall the best player?
The only way it's going to be somebody that has the best stats if they're on a bad team is if it's like if they broke a record, if it stands out a lot.
So you're saying
it has to be more than apparent that they're the clear-cut MVP and they just happen to be on a bad team.
So you're saying if Giancarlo Stanton hit 75 home runs this season, he would be the MVP, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Not if he was batting 250.
But the whole thing is he's not. He's batting like 290.
Okay, yeah.
And putting up these great numbers. He's one of the best players in the game.
Absolutely. But I think Andrew McCutchen just brings an all-around game. You said he played how many games? 142?
142.
How many games is Clayton Kershaw actually in? 30?
34, I believe.
Okay, so you're not even in the same ballpark of how many times those two guys touch the field.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I think that McCutchen would get my vote because he's literally out there every day.
I agree with you, but whose fault is that? It's not.
No,
it's not. If he could go every day, I'm sure he would.
That's not the question.
I know.
That's not the question. It's not whose fault is it. No, he's a pitcher. That's the way the game is. I'm just saying. I mean, he did single-handedly just win 21 games for his team this year. Yeah. He single-handedly marched through 8 or 9 innings in each of those games.
All of his historic numbers probably look better in looking back 5 years from now, seeing how just amazing his season was. But I don't think the voters really go, oh, yeah, look at that pitcher who pitched better than everybody else.
There's a reason that they have the Cy Young. That's the bottom line.
So you're saying the MVP should be a hitter-only thing? Because didn't Gagne win the MVP?
Verlander won MVP.
Did Gagne win MVP too for closer for LA back in the day?
I
could have sworn he won one, or he won the Cy Young as a closer, which is just that blows my mind a little bit.
I mean, but okay, so then ask this: if Clayton Kershaw was not on that team, are the Dodgers still a playoff team?
No.
No, really? Are you serious?
I don't know.
They have Zach Greinke right behind him.
Okay, but you're taking away their
Ryu
ace.
right down there. I'm just saying, and they have a lineup of batters that should be able to crush any pitcher in the league.
So he won 21 games. And he probably won a little bit more in games that he didn't get a decision in. Let's assume you take away half of that for a replacement pitcher, just some random. Okay,
half. So
he's the best pitcher in the majors.
If you take away half, then you're looking at
do they be 10 games lower than where they were?
You're looking at 11 and 14, or 10 and 14.
What?
For the record as a starter. So you replace the number one starter with a guy that goes 10 and 14?
Yeah, so you'd lose 10 games in the
Unrealistic.
standings.
Hang on a second, though, but you're also not even taking into account the fact that they have a lineup of batters that are just absolutely able to crush the ball. They can put up runs. So, I mean, I think the dynamic of the game completely changes when you take Kershaw out. When Kershaw goes out to the mound, everybody in that entire dugout goes, we got a night off.
Yeah,
we don't have to do anything.
See you later,
we got to
guys.
get one run across the plate. After that, it's his game. He takes it and he runs with it. So now you trot out Dan Herron, and instead you get 6-7 runs. I think the dynamic of the game completely changes. So
Jay Harris,
I would take away maybe 5 or 6 wins, and they're still in the playoffs.
Jay Harris today on SportsCenter was like, okay, he's 21-3, so that puts him 18 games over 500. If you take away these 18 games over 500, the Dodgers aren't even in the playoffs.
That
makes no
That's
sense.
absurd.
That's why I said I would assume maybe like take away 10 wins.
I would
Maybe.
say you could take away maybe 6. I
Okay,
think the
so
Dodgers are worth those other 4 games.
But would they be a World Series team without Clayton Kershaw?
I think obviously he gives them a much better chance. Obviously, but once you get into the playoffs, a lot of different things can happen. So, I mean, I think the discussion kind of ends right at will they make the playoffs? Because you might see that the Baltimore Orioles could shock the world and come up with some big wins in the playoffs. You just don't know.
Which team would be less of what they are? Clayton Kershaw not being on the Dodgers or McCutchen not being on the Pirates?
Ooh, that's really interesting.
Oh, come on, the Pirates. The Pirates would be lost.
They were.
It would be nowhere.
They were.
They were.
They lost him for a while.
It was very easy.
All right, so it's a consensus here, McCutchen, yeah?
Yes.
For MVP?
Well, for us.
Okay, is it a consensus? For us. There you go.
We're all in agreement.
All right, we're moving on. Kenny D writes, Kenny G? Is that Kenny G?
Did you say Kenny D or Kenny G?
I said Kenny G, but it says Kenny D on my paper. I'm pretty bad at this. Famous people writing in. Drew Brees recently spoke out against the lack of transparency in Roger Goodell's decision-making. Which player or players speaking out will it take for change to actually happen?
I love that Drew Brees, man.
Really, Chucky? What are you doing here?
You know who I think it's going to take?
Peyton Manning.
No.
That's what I said, too. I said Peyton
No.
Manning.
Yes and no. But I think DeMaurice Smith needs to speak up. I really think that the leader of the Players Association needs to step up and say something. He's the voice for the entire Players Association. This is great. Drew Brees saying something. This is awesome. I'm so happy that a player
What
like
about,
of his
what
caliber.
about Steve Smith Sr.?
Why?
Sure.
Because you're saying
What?
he's the senior guy?
He's the guy,
Why?
isn't he?
Who is the NFL Player Association rep? That's the big question.
Well, I'd have to
Yeah,
look
I
it
think
up.
it's Steve Smith.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Well, that's great. Him too. Fine. But I think DeMaurice Smith needs to come up and say, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. But I don't think he can publicly do that because he has such a close relationship with Roger Goodell in the commissioner's office. I don't think that he could just publicly bash him on this topic. But I do think somebody needs to say something from his office.
Are you surprised that it took someone on an actual name recognition basis like Drew Brees to step out to actually show that there is major hypocrisy? Obviously, it's with his own team, so it makes sense he's talking. He's talking about Bountygate, obviously.
Yeah.
And the quotes are so ridiculous if you turn them around on Roger Goodell. It's just insane. Here's the quotes he said. This is from Roger Goodell speaking about Bountygate originally.
Okay.
He said, "Ignorance is no excuse. If you didn't know, you should have known." If you turn that around for somebody in the league, one of the owners to say, Roger Goodell, you should have known about the Ray Rice thing, that means you can't just ignore it as ignorant.
I'm still surprised that people are even questioning whether he saw that video. I don't think he needed to see the video.
He was told what happened.
It doesn't matter exactly. But the fact is, that is an excellent point. That is it is right on point.
I think Drew Brees is a good one to have come out about this. There's, to have players that have been affected by the suspensions that have gone on during his tenure. I think
the
that
willy-nilly
to come out and talk about
suspensions.
that, I think that definitely will contribute to him being gone.
I mean, couldn't that season potentially have cost the Saints a shot at a world title?
Yeah.
It could have.
Don't you remember Roger Goodell just was suspending players for it as well, and then Paul Tagliabue actually came in and vetoed the original player suspensions because Goodell was apparently
ridiculous.
He was too close to the situation.
They were
because
ridiculous.
he was giving guys full season suspensions that were merely doing what they were told to do.
Exactly. Yep. You hit somebody hard, suspended.
I just don't. I don't know what it's going to take. I really don't think he belongs in the commissioner's chair anymore, and I think that sentiment is shared across the league. I mean, and Drew Brees isn't the first one to talk about this, but
he is the most
prominent, sure. But I thought James Harrison was the best when he was when he said
the tweet.
It's not so much fun when the rabbits got the gun.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. If you can't hold yourself to the same standards that you hold all the players to, you don't belong there. You just don't.
It's I can't believe this. I mean, the whole thing about there's being no checks and balances in place. It's NFL reviews everything, and then they suspend, and then they're the appeal system as well.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be some other committee? Like, how does the NFL Players Association go? Yeah, you're suspending and you're appealing and you're worrying about all this stuff. How do you do it in-house like that?
You do have to remember that they are an employer. So, I mean, this is a private business. They do have the power to control their business the way that they want to.
That's the whole thing. There should be some outside that they hire to oversee something. You can't just go, we got it all.
But compared to a normal business, is that what happens? I mean, sure, you could say the police. But, I mean, it doesn't really happen in a normal business
What scares
setting.
me is that if it's not done now, if he doesn't step down, if he's not forced to step down now, he's just getting started. I mean, he's got a long way to go before he's looking at retirement.
Absolutely.
And that's scary.
Yep.
I don't. For some reason, I don't see any chance this ends in retirement for Roger Goodell. Right?
I could still see him stepping down. I could still see it
He's
happening.
going to have to be forced to, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that is what's going to happen. And we obviously end this segment with Free Simmons because it's today and we're just doing it. All right, coming out the break, we are previewing Week 4 of the NFL season. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the Team.
Teddy, Ducey, I heard a rumor over the past couple days that there was a site that had the most money they've ever given away in 1 week on the internet in daily fantasy sports. You heard of that rumor?
What's he talking about?
I don't know.
I believe it's our company, StarFantasyLeagues.com, offering the most guaranteed prize pool money we've ever offered. $15,000 for Week 4.
Oh, my God.
All right, don't.
Yowza!
Oh, God, you guys are the worst. I'm trying to do a promo here. I have my script in front of me. Look at it. It's beautiful, and you guys just go off script.
Free money.
That's good. Oh, really?
That is right. Week four of the NFL season, we're giving $15,000 plus away. $500 free roll. I mean, what's better than that? Come to StarFantasyLeagues.com. If you haven't played daily, learn now. If you play in season, you're already out of it. Your entire team is on the IR, which is, possible.
It is possible.
Yeah, very
it
possible.
Is absolutely possible.
And very, very depressing.
It's been a very unique season so far for these injuries, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, there's a lot. And they were all piled up in 1 week, too. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, we're already starting to see all of those backup. We're starting to see backup running backs coming in.
Well, and we're also seeing the injuries that they kind of string you along. They start talking about how they're supposed to be back in a week, or they're day to day, or week to week, or something. They're already happening. Arian Foster, you stink.
Why are you already hating on Arian Foster? He at least came out and said, "Hey, I'm hurting."
Well, I'm not
playing.
actually hating on him. I shouldn't be hating on him because I didn't draft him because we talked about how you shouldn't draft him.
And you know what the best part is? Don't draft him in season long, but in daily, when I played him a couple weeks ago, he was amazing.
You know what I'm wondering is why do they call NFL players day to day when they only play once a week?
Yeah, why don't they call them? Well,
Why don't they call them
because of the
because of the practice field? Yeah. I still think they should call him. They should call him week to week. Because all we care about is whether he's going to play or not. I don't care if he's practicing.
What if you just said he was going to be out a couple days? He's out Thursday to Friday. That'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
Just simplify. Why do you need to bring this up?
I'm taking it week to week.
All right, we are taking it week to week on the Star Fantasy League show as well. We're talking the second half of the slate for Week 4. We broke down most of the games for 1 o'clock yesterday. First, we're going to start off with tonight's game, though. We broke it down from an actual football standpoint, but we didn't talk fantasy at all in the first segment. I think this personally is going to be an interesting game for fantasy as well because Giants defense hasn't been good. And on the other side of the ball, the Washington offense has been really, really good so far this season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little lost on this game. Like, where these two teams coming together with how they've played, some inconsistencies here and there, the ability to put up points, the ability to play defense. It's kind of been all over the map. And then you've got the whole interdivision thing and the Thursday night game, which is usually lower scoring. It's kind of hard to get a read on who is going to actually produce in this game. All I can say is that I don't like Rashad Jennings very much tonight.
Really?
No. Why would you?
Why would I?
Yeah,
Washington's I think just because he's involved in the offense so much. I mean, we saw in that first week, he really didn't get involved in the game until late, and then he started getting some check down passes. So I think if you're in a PPR league, he's good to go because eventually, either one or two things are going to happen. Either this game is going to be a shootout, and he's really not going to run the ball that much anyways, or they're going to be down maybe 2 or 3 scores, and then they're going to have to start throwing the ball. So, I mean, I think he's going to be involved either way.
What is his salary at now?
Rashad Jennings?
Yeah.
I don't have it in front. I think he's around 15,000.
Because to me, that's just. I mean, he had such a good week last week, so his value went up in a lot of different places. And
Yeah,
I just
15,000.
don't know with the other guys that you have on the board, especially some value guys,
Sure.
guys like Asiata or Donald Brown.
Sure, yeah.
Whether you would want to throw Rashad Jennings in this matchup.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's true.
And you forgot to say my boy Blue. Come on, Alfred Blue's probably going to play this week too.
I hope
Value.
so.
Yeah, he's going to play. Foster's probably not going to play. Come on now.
You think Foster's going to play?
No, I don't care about that, but I'm not going to put him in.
It's true. They are going against the Bills. Never mind. Sorry. Forgot about that
Bills.
matchup.
I love Pierre Garçon right now, and I think
He's-
so does Kirk Cousins.
He's still so undervalued, too. He's only at 13,000. That's a monster.
He's going to – I mean, he's just soaking up catches from Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins is dropping dimes all over the field, so there's not – he might actually go for a big touchdown tonight. I don't know.
Any interest? There's two value tight ends going on tonight that I like both of them, to be honest. I'm probably going to try to save money and go with Larry Donnell at 7,500. But I also, if I have the money to spend, Paul has been really good since Kirk Cousins has come in.
He really has.
And we know for a fact that he's playing. Jordan Reed is out again. That's a pretty good
and they also
cushion there.
factor him into the game plan. You know, I feel like Donnell, he's kind of like that check down type, you know, where Eli Manning's just getting pressure in his face and he just chucks it.
You know what he's caught more than every single game this season? 5 catches or more in every game so far.
I like Paul for the chance of exploding more.
Yeah.
I think that Donnell is a good guy that you would want to use in 50-50s or heads-ups. Paul is definitely the guy because he can put up he's averaging 14.1 yards per reception, and that's huge.
Yeah, and both of them, they have the same amount of receptions this year. They both have 18. Paul has 253 yards to Larry Donnell 182.
Well, it's also in one last game, too. He didn't play game 1, did he?
Yeah.
Well, he played some. Jordan Reed went down
he
halfway through.
played most of it, I think. Yeah.
All right, let's move on from this game. Miami and Oakland. We should like people from this game, right? We should like somebody on Miami that exists because Oakland is atrocious.
Can we further our discussion on Ryan Tannehill and Joe Philbin a little bit?
I don't know what's going on here.
Well, I mean, are you blaming Tannehill or are you blaming Philbin?
Philbin's being really non-committal and really awkward in the media about
He's being
it.
an idiot.
Yeah.
I don't understand it at all. And I know Tannehill's had his struggles, but I think it's more about...
He said something really negative. Can we suspend him?
Oh, you're right.
Negative. Can't call him an idiot.
I'm sorry. Joe Philbin has made some ill-advised decisions.
That's still
Anyways,
critical.
his game plans have been terrible, and I just don't understand that. But right now, I don't know if I can touch Ryan Tannehill. And I think Oakland's pass defense has actually been pretty solid.
You liked Ryan Tannehill a lot going into the season, too.
Did.
That's why he's defending him to the death right now.
Miami just seems like kind of a mess
off
right now, and this is a mess of two teams. I like Lamar Miller.
Yeah.
Yep. He's going to be the only guy with a chance to run the ball there.
Yeah, I think he's a really solid play. It's difficult because you don't really know what's going to happen with these guys being overseas. You know, this is
it's a London game, isn't it?
Yeah,
congratulations,
and that makes
London.
me kind of wary with that. You know, with that travel and everything they got going on, and the fact that it's just awful. What a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I mean, in the past they really haven't been great outcomes fantasy wise. It feels like maybe a random guy will come up and do something.
Yeah,
good.
There's just not a lot of temptation going into this game from a fantasy perspective, in my opinion. But
Miller should be a good RB2.
Miller's still got great value. So
yeah, I personally
he's definitely worth a look.
I didn't like this game much at all outside of a possible Lamar Miller play for value. Moving on, this is a game I personally love. Jacksonville and San Diego. For some reason, the over-under is only 44.5 in this game, but the spread is 13. So they basically say this game is going to be like 30-13.
This is one of those San Diego games that makes me really nervous because
me too.
San Diego does this. They come out and they fire it up, and then all of a sudden they play a crap team and they just lay an egg.
Yeah, I was looking at this and I was going to make my Survivor pick this week, and I'm like,
stay away.
It seems so painfully obvious.
Yes, stay away.
And then you've got what I really don't like. It's like. Who's Minnesota playing this week?
They are playing Atlanta.
Yeah, so you got Minnesota and Atlanta. Atlanta looks pretty good. It looks like there could be something there. But then you've got this factor with a quarterback coming in that hasn't been playing much.
Nothing to lose. They have that team has
you
nothing
just
to
don't
lose.
know.
Very well played.
Blake Bortles coming in makes me so nervous because you just don't know what's going to happen.
I
don't know how it's going to be, and all of a sudden he upsets them. And he blows up, and everybody's all excited about it. You can just see it. You can see the headlines.
I can absolutely see that.
So,
and it's a very typical move of San Diego.
Can we go value city on a lot of this Jacksonville team for Sunday?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, San Diego's defense, we've said, has been very vastly improved since last season.
Definitely.
The last 8 weeks of last year, they were actually I think, top 12 defense. And this year, so far, they've been pretty good against some decent teams. But let's be honest, the team is going to be up. I think San Diego's going to be up in this game. And I think, like, Bortles is going to do what he did last game, throw a couple touchdown passes. They're going somewhere.
What was the line? 13.5?
13.
13?
It's currently 13. That's about right.
I might take the Jags. 13. I might take the Jags.
He's going to lay a bet in Vegas, baby.
We're going.
I'll be honest, it is a big number. Those numbers tend to scare people, but we're only talking from a fantasy perspective. I think Bortles is a great play this week.
Yeah,
at
and
the
those
minimum.
wide receivers. I mean, Hearns and Robinson definitely worth consideration.
It depends.
Absolutely.
Okay, it depends who is playing. Marquise Lee was because he was out. It's a big reason why Robinson started and why Hearns got so much time. Shorts is playing and not really that well, but
the Marquise Lee could be a consideration.
It's kind of becoming a mess of receivers at this point, where you really don't know week to week who's going to get the production.
That is a problem. But I'm saying if somebody is out, take the other guys. I would take.
They've got 4.
Yeah.
And all of them have produced, except for Shorts hasn't done much.
They should put Shorts out to pasture. They should just
this early in his career.
Oh yeah.
That's real nice. And they also had Justin Blackmon. Don't forget, gone. Don't be anywhere near the team. What about San Diego? Donald Brown has to be a consideration. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think Donald Brown is an automatic play. I mean, this is one of the guys where there's just so much value in his salary that to look away from him, even though you know that so many other people are going to have them on their team. They're going to get so much value out of it. You need to get the value out of it.
It's just based on volume. I mean, he's going to get all the work. There's really nobody else to touch it. So.
Yeah, we said 31 carries is probably not going to happen because they're up by so much. Oh, wait, they're playing Jacksonville. They're probably going to be up and running. It's probably going to happen again. Anybody else you're interested in this game? Maybe. I think Phil Rivers is probably a stretch.
I might stay away from this one. Yeah, I really might.
Fully.
Well, because here's the other thing, is if they do blow them out, then the ceiling is going to be extremely low on everybody in this game. So if they get up by 3 or 4 touchdowns, then they're just going to run the ball.
I think no matter what happens in this game, Donald Brown's going to have a great game.
Yeah, I think that might be the biggest takeaway from this game. All right, let's move on to a game you already mentioned, Atlanta and Minnesota. Minnesota. Playing at Gopher Stadium, which is not a home game, apparently. I don't understand this whole playing at a college stadium thing.
Well, they have to.
They're building a new one.
Yes. Well, they just said, you know what?
Their building collapsed.
Yeah, they're like, you know what?
They're not just having fun.
Yeah, it's finally the
Bring
ceiling.
out the band.
Yeah, like the roof doesn't work anymore. You know what? We'll just move to a new building.
What is the line on this game?
Surprisingly, it's Atlanta by 3.
Yeah.
No, not surprisingly. Atlanta's clearly the better team. Yeah.
That shouldn't be surprising.
It is strange, though.
Why?
No, Minnesota's
because it's just 3? Or
they're in
because
shambles.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be starting this week, so this is a whole new regime. This is a new start.
So what?
Come on, you think they have a legitimate shot here?
No.
So you're saying that the line is
I
too
think it
low.
should be way higher for Atlanta.
All right, okay, I misunderstood.
way higher.
I think this is way low.
Okay, so here's the question. If Atlanta was at home, what do you think the spread would be?
7.5.
Okay, so then this is almost exactly right because you'd move it 6 points. That's what you're doing.
It's a bunch of crap.
Wow. Okay.
They should absolutely blow them out. This game shouldn't be close, especially with Roddy White back.
So is Atlanta your survivor pick for the week then?
It might be.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I just don't like to pick
road team.
Yeah, I don't like to pick road teams.
Road teams when you have 17 different choices. Yeah, probably not a good idea.
San Diego is so obvious; it's painful.
Well, is Roddy White good to go? I mean,
they said most likely.
So I mean, he had plenty of rest. They played on Thursday night, so he had at least 10 days. So I mean, he might be worth a shot at 11.5. That's not a bad price.
I mean, yeah, that secondary is garbage for Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely. So he could just be soaking up catches all day.
Yeah. Who else are you interested in this matchup? I'm probably staying away from Minnesota, although Minnesota's probably going to be down.
There should be a lot of points to go around here. I mean, it's a pretty high over/under.
It's only 47. It's not crazy high. It's not New Orleans, Dallas high.
I'm looking at Asiata. I'm also looking at Greg Jennings, who could possibly have a good game in this one.
Perfect.
Good value.
That's it.
Look,
That's
Greg
all we
Jennings
got.
down at 60. What is it?
87.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
no.
Asiata's only 56.
Yeah,
so
I think you got to take Asiata.
Yeah, that's probably
Asiata and Brown.
That's probably the value play from this game. Coming after the break, we're breaking down the rest of the Week 4 matchups. And you'll listen to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We're not yet done with our Week 4 preview for StarFantasyLeagues.com, and we're not done giving you bonuses.
Yay, bonuses.
Yeah, that is right. Once again, we have a 100% to $2,000 deposit bonus and an $11 credit directly in your account to play Week 4 contest. It's free 14. You want? Go ahead. Repeat it.
FREE14.
That is right. That's all you got to do. Deposit on starfantasyleagues.com to play in Week 4 contest, and you get all that money. It's pretty nice, right?
It's a lot of free money, really.
Yeah, whatever. I already said it.
I know, you made the decision.
You can't take it back.
You might be suspended.
Great. Thanks. Again, I'm suspended. Free Simmons. Sorry. Sorry. Let's talk about 3 more games we got on the slate, and 2 of them are very high over-unders and probably fantasy gold, I'm sure. First one I want to talk about is New Orleans and Dallas. 53.5 over-under. I'm going to assume there's going to be a lot of exposure to this game across the industry, right?
You know who I really like in this game is Pierre Thomas.
Really?
I think this could be one of those games that Pierre Thomas just goes nuts in.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, he's their passing down back, so, I mean, he's definitely going to get work in this offense every week. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't – I mean, Dallas hasn't been giving up a lot of fantasy points to running backs, so Pierre Thomas seems to fit in whenever that comes into play. So you could be right on that one. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about Kyrie Robinson, obviously, for value there. But, I mean, he didn't do too great last week. Then again –
no, but I mean,
not a great matchup.
But what did he have? I mean, he didn't even get to 20 carries, right? He only had like 15 or so.
Yeah,
and I think he got 68 yards. So yeah, I don't think it was the right matchup for it. But at the same time, with the price, if he gets a goal line touchdown, you're pretty solid.
It's hard to argue with anybody that you're going to put in this game. Brandon Cooks, Jimmy Graham. I mean, Jimmy Graham could just be one of the best plays of the week. It's definitely possible.
It's always possible.
Yeah, it's always possible. This is a great matchup for him. It wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the top guys overall this week.
I would say don't let the cat out of the bag. We're talking about top plays on Friday's Weekend Fantasy Focus. How dare you spoil things again?
Brandon Cooks.
What about Marcus Colston at 9,000? You really don't like him? I mean, 9,000?
I can't deal with Marcus Colston. I just can't. I can't deal with him.
Why?
Because he's just...
He's a 1,000-yard receiver.
I know, but he has those weeks, and then he has those weeks where he catches 2 balls
for
24 yards.
The past 2 weeks, last week, if he didn't catch that touchdown, he wouldn't have been relevant. And the week before that, he didn't even have a catch. So I'm guessing that it's time for him to break out.
That's the problem. You don't want to have You don't want to have to guess about a player breaking out.
Do you have him on one of your teams?
I have him on a couple.
Of course it does. There you go. It's fantasy kryptonite.
Come on!
All right. Anybody else we're interested in this game? Dallas. DeMarco Murray has been the best player in the NFL
yeah,
right now.
their players are a little too high price, so yeah. I'm looking elsewhere for value.
I think you could choose Des Bryant if you want. I don't think there's any problem with that.
He's up there with everybody else at the top of the receiving core. He could have a great game.
He could.
He's probably gonna need to as well in this game.
One of these days, he's just got to get 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right, Philadelphia and San Francisco is the other game, over 50 for an over-under. Again, we talked about this weird line the other day. San Francisco favored by 4.5, which I personally do not agree with at all. I think Philadelphia is a lot better than people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about this. It's kind of a bounce-back game for San Francisco. I wouldn't be surprised to see them lay the hurt on them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I still think this is going to be a close game, even if they do win. San Francisco's in a little bit of a weird turmoil right now. They have the off the field issues.
I wouldn't
be
surprised if San Fran dominates this game for whatever reason. That's what I'm feeling.
All right, to do that, who are they going to need from a fantasy perspective?
I am definitely going with Michael Crabtree this week.
Yeah,
he has been a stud so far. He's the number 1 guy. He's healthy now. I think he could go off. And if you're looking to pair the upside with that, I would definitely pair him with Colin Kaepernick. He could have a top 5 week quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a surprise. I'm not going to lie.
Wow.
I thought we were going to go on the other side of the ball for this game. No.
Hey, well, I don't know.
No. Got nothing for me?
I don't like it. I don't like going
San
across
Fran's
the country.
defense can step up at any time.
All right, and you can step up by playing Week 4 daily fantasy football at starfantasyleagues.com. Use the bonus code FREE14.
Do it.
You know what else is free? It's time, once again, Free Simmons.
Free him.
Free Simmons.
He doesn't deserve this.
Take it easy, guys.